Welcome to a Big Show Entertainment Network special event, the Super Dave Rains Show, on location in beautiful Colorado Springs, Colorado, at the UCCS, University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, Ent Center for the Arts. And I am here with the director, and her name is so beautiful, I don't want to mess it up. I'm going to let her introduce herself to the show.
Hi, I'm Aisha Ahmad-Post. I'm the director of the Ent Center, and it's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on the Super Dave Rains Show, and we are so honored to be here today. Kind of tell us about what you do and a little bit about the Art Center.
Sure. So in my capacity, I am the director of the Ent Center. That means that I do primarily, I serve as the artistic director of the Artist Series, which brings music, dance, and live performance to Colorado Springs. I do a lot of the community engagement work, making sure that people throughout the Colorado Springs and Pikes Peak region are aware of and have access to the art that we were bringing, that we have a lot of engagement from everybody throughout the community, and that we're serving everybody in the community. And then I also manage our rental program.
Right. Awesome. How do you determine which productions and musical guests to bring to the center? And then secondly, does the center work with other venues like the Pikes Peak Center, Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, Arnold Hall at USAFA, and or Butcher? Is it Butcher Concert Hall in Denver? Betcher, thank you.
The Ent Center for the Arts was designed to work together with and not in opposition to the other performing arts centers in town and throughout the Denver and across the I-25 corridor. So the Cultural Office of the Pikes Peak region did a cultural landscape survey in 2010 and identified a number of holes in the cultural landscape here. Certainly, the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College does its own presenting of, they produce their own theater works. The Pikes Peak Center brings in a lot of Broadway shows, a lot of bigger acts, rock bands and things of that nature. Of course, the Broadmoor World Arena is a 10,000 seat space, and they're doing things on a totally different scale. So what we're doing here is bringing nationally and internationally acclaimed, highly artistic productions to Colorado Springs that have both an artistic and educational focus to it. One of the things that's also really important to myself and the other two artistic directors here is to ensure that we have an engagement and a commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so we have built an equity framework into all of the evaluation that we do of this art. Who is it serving? Who's at the table? And who's being excluded, whether implicitly or explicitly, through the artistic decisions that we make? That's a tremendous part of it. But the other part of it, too, of course, is building audience. So, how do I teach people here in Colorado Springs about some of the dance companies that may not have been here in the last 30 years? Or who are the big jazz artists that we should know about right now that maybe haven't had a venue that they could tour to here in Colorado Springs? So a lot of it is about the art and how it's in conversation with everything else that's happening throughout the cultural sphere right now on the national stage, and how that can intersect with our local work that's already happening here in Colorado Springs and the larger Front Range.
Wow, that's amazing. So can I put in a vote for Sade? Can you get her to come over here?
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
So Floyd Tenson taught art at Palmer High School, is a Colorado Springs local, is also a nationally acclaimed artist in his own right. So these are his Haitian dreamboats. They were built in the early 90s and have toured all over the world. And we have them, I believe, through the end of this year. And they've been placed in sort of a figure 8 pattern, so they really have a sense of motion amongst them. We do have tie-in points all the way across this hallway and even on this balcony as well, so we can do a number of different installations over the coming years and really utilize the space as much as possible.
Wow, that's amazing. So when I noticed that you had said that, okay, you've got certain things on loan for a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. So who's kind of in charge of coordinating all that to make sure that, when you're having one art exhibit go out, that you have something in place?
Right. So as I mentioned, we actually have 3 artistic directors here. So I'm one of them. So I run the music and dance side of things. Right. Caitlin Lowens runs Theatreworks. And then our colleague Daisy McGowan is the director of the Galleries of Contemporary Art. So Daisy has been a gallerist for many, many years. And so she is entirely responsible for the acquisition, or rather the loaning of art and managing that entire program. So this entire first year, because we do see ourselves as a resource and destination for Colorado, we've been focusing on Colorado artists, which is why you see Star Kemp featured so prominently. Floyd Tunson also had the first exhibition in our new contemporary art gallery, the Marie Walsh Sharp Gallery of Contemporary Art. So she's been in charge of all of that, and she's been doing a really amazing job bringing in artists that really have elevated this to being an internationally acclaimed center for art.
Yeah, it definitely is, absolutely, and I know that is a full-time job.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's take a look at the next area. Okay.
And this is a space that has a separate security alarm, and only two people have this space. It's also humidity controlled.
Right.
So I don't know if that's something we want to.
Okay.
I can't really. That's the one place
okay.
I'm not allowed in.
Okay, I
without
understand
special
that.
permission.
Oh wow, this is really cool. This is awesome.
Great. So this is actually, we are in the Dusty Lou Bon Vivant Theater. So this is the new home of Theatreworks, which has been the resident theater company here at UCCS since the 1970s.
Wow.
Their founding artistic director, Murray Ross, passed away tragically in January of 2017, but this entire space was his conception. So this is what we call a black box theater. So it is a box. This one happens to be a maroon cherry Merlot color, depending on what you prefer. And it is 3 stories tall. So this first floor, of course, is where the stage is and the audience. The second floor is a balcony area, so you can seat people on the mezzanine there. And the third floor is entirely technical, and you can actually see those rolling gantry boxes up there. That allows us to use student employees for technical theater purposes. So they can learn how to, change lights out, run, wire, all the electrical, all the rest of that, without being on a lift. So they're fully protected. There's all tie-in points, and so they can learn technical theater without having too much risk. Right. Currently, this set is for. This is for A Raisin in the Sun, the famous 1959 play by Lorraine Hansberry about a family on the south side of Chicago dealing with issues of gentrification. One of the real great pieces to come out of the civil rights era. So we're very excited. This just opened this past Thursday, and it runs through October 21st, and so far has gotten really rave reviews. So we're really excited about that. Yeah. And one other thing here that you can't see in this set, but we actually do have a trap pit. So there's a 12-foot pit that goes below the stage. It's about 18 by 24 feet wide, so about as wide as this footprint here. So we can do real 3-dimensional work in this space. Wow. It's a real game changer for Theatreworks.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna throw in a question.
Sure.
I've got questions for the end, but one of the things that early on in the tour that I'm very, very impressed with is the fact that you have a production level that is on par with anything in the world. Looking at the main theater and then looking at here, and you guys have really thought of everything. So, kudos to UCCS for doing that. Do you offer classes in production and audio, video, and all the levels of production when you talk about music and theater and in plays?
So we do have a Department of Visual and Performing Arts that is part of the Letters, Arts, and Sciences College here at UCCS. It's primarily undergraduate students, but they do teach technical theater through that. Right. And then we do offer, we do have some stagehands and other technical theater people from, a lot of our crews from the Colorado Springs region. We don't currently have those sorts of classes, although it's something that we're definitely interested in engaging in at some point. Right. It's hard to believe, but we've only been open for 9 months at this point. Yeah. And so a lot of it this year has really been sort of laying the foundation and basic protocol to make sure that our productions are at the level that we want them to be at. But it's certainly something on the docket for future years.
Yeah, awesome. It really is Broadway level production, folks. It absolutely is. It's amazing. Very, very impressed.
Well, and actually that's quite literal here because the set designer for this show has also worked on Broadway and off-Broadway as well. So that's actually exactly the level of talent that we're looking for.
So does the center have special programs planned for the upcoming holiday season? And does the focus change when the students are out on holiday?
So that's a great question. So we're actually going to have our first holiday season here at the Ent Center since we only opened in January. So the Theatreworks department is going to be putting on a Christmas Carol. And that is an adaptation of the Dickens novel by Murray Ross, who was the founding artistic director of Theatreworks. And it will be directed by our new artistic director, Caitlin Lowens. So that's a really exciting play that will run after Thanksgiving through December 24th. And then the Artist Series has a number of really exciting productions coming up. So we have celebrated jazz vocalist Diane Reeves will be here on December 7th doing a show called Christmas Time is Here. And so that's all of her beloved holiday renditions of all of those favorites. We have the Blind Boys of Alabama doing their gospel soul version of How to Celebrate Christmas. And then we have a really interesting take by Theater Latte Da, which is based in Minneapolis. And they created a staged piece called All Is Calm that celebrates the truce between the American and German soldiers in World War I when they came across the trenches and celebrated Christmas together. And it's really a celebration of what the spirit of Christmas is. It uses primary documents, and so it's built on the letters and songs and diary entries of the soldiers that were at that particular celebration, and it's been created into a play that celebrates the military and also the coming together with our enemies to find common ground.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, I'll be here for Diane Reeves, so I don't have a date, but I'm going to have to check that out.
All right, do it.
I lost my questions. There we go.
Well, we can get you tickets at the box office on your way out.
Absolutely.
So this is the Shockley-Zalabak Theater. Pam Shockley-Zalabak was the chancellor of UCCS who helped us get all of the money together and really was the primary fundraiser, the visionary who really wanted to find a way forward for the arts to be front and center for UCCS.
Right.
So Pam Shockley-Zalabak retired a couple years ago. We now have a new chancellor, and to celebrate her, role in the arts and in the Ent Center, this space was named in her honor as the Pam Shockley-Zalabak Theater. Wow. So this is 720 seats in its current configuration. I can put that apron down and add another 50 seats, bringing us up to about 774. This is a multi-purpose venue. It was primarily built with music and dance in mind. When they did the cultural office of the Pikes Peak region, did a cultural landscape survey in 2010. And they looked around at what was in Colorado Springs already and what we needed to be part of our scene in order to grow the arts here in Colorado Springs. So we saw that we had the World Arena with 10,000 seats. We had the Pikes Peak Center at 2,000 seats. The Sagagi Theater, the Fine Arts Center at Colorado College, has about 400. But we were really missing this 700 to 900 seat venue that could be not just, for presenting touring shows like what I do, but also so that all of the arts organizations that already exist in Colorado Springs could have their own space and their own, home for all of the work that they do. So the Colorado Springs Philharmonic, Chamber Orchestra of the Springs, Ormayo Dance Company, Opera Theater of the Rockies, the Colorado Springs Youth Symphony, the Colorado Springs Children's Chorale, the regular Colorado Springs Chorale, you name it, they're all doing their work here. In all, we had over 175 events in our first semester that we were open. Over 120,000 people came through this building. And that includes all of the shows that we presented, as well as the rentals that we've done, both to arts organizations and to other entities throughout the state, really. So we've had everything from, we had Nigel Farage and Vincente Fox have a conversation about globalism. We had a Star of Orange is the New Black talk about DACA and immigration policy. So all these different things that have happened here, and it's already become a real gathering space for people to have town hall conversations about the things that are really important to Colorado Springs, as well as to partake in some of the world's finest art. And that's where I come in. So I'm also the artistic director of the Artist Series. And through that program, we just opened in February. So I bring internationally and nationally acclaimed performers in music, dance, and other live performance arts to this stage. So we opened last February. We've already had the Alvin Ailey Dance Company here. We've had the Branford Marcellus Quartet. We've had we'll have Diane Reeves coming here this year, the Blind Boys of Alabama. Bill T. Jones, Arnie Zane Dance Company will be here on October 16th. So there's just a tremendous variety of activities that we have in this space because of its versatility. So a couple different things to point out. This stage is actually sprung for dance. So there's about 6 inches of space between that wood and the concrete underneath it.
Right.
Those red towers are actually an orchestra shell that we can deploy for acoustical purposes that create one unified box all the way through, and it matches right up with the wall here in the same color and everything.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of people to come through here so quickly.
It's been
Yeah.
wild. Yes.
Yeah.
We've been really astonished and really excited about the amount of success and excitement that we've seen from the Colorado Springs community.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Howdy there. We're here observing the gorgeous Super Dave in his natural habitats, doing his little David Attenborough thing. It's adorable. Speaking of adorable, we got Major Veltrezit here.
Hey.
We're here in the Ent Center, just rocking it pretty much, having a good time. How do you feel about this place?
You know what? Honestly, I wanted to touch a lot of things that were probably really expensive, so it's probably best that I didn't touch
That's why
them.
they didn't let us into the whole modern art section.
You're right. They were like, yeah, we can't go in there. But I was like, nah, man, you just don't want me to touch things because they knew I was going to. Like, we went and saw that theater set. What did she say it was? Do you remember?
Of Raisin in the Sun.
Yeah, Raisin in the Sun, and there were so many old things in there. I wanted to touch all the old things. I was just like, refrigerator, does it open? Where does that room lead? I wanted to go.
Passing through the areas, we were talking about the smell of it as well. It was like this piney, almost like ashwood type smell. It was just intoxicating. And of course, all of the theaters are just dressed up to the nines as far as soundproofing, AV type stuff, and just really, really top of the line things that we're dealing with here in Colorado. So feel free, stop in. Maybe we'll be here, maybe we won't. But this will be here, and you will be here, and you will have a good time. So
We talked about this a little bit earlier, and I guess I was within $3 million. I guess I had the under. I said $70 million to build. But what was the actual cost on the facility?
Yeah, that's right. It was about $73 million in all. We received some state appropriations to do a survey to see if we could make this happen and make a reality out of it. That was some incredible foresight from our Chancellor, Pam Shockley-Zalabak, and our Vice Chancellor for Capital Planning at the time, Gary Reynolds. And then from there, they were able to really build the vision and excitement around what the Ent Center could and should be and how that would generate economic impact in the region and elevate the status of Colorado Springs to a national level. And so about a third of that came from the state of Colorado, a third from the University of Colorado system, so that includes Boulder, Denver, and Schuetzen here, and then of course a third from private donations. And so the confluence of public-private partnership was really important, and that was the way that we were able to get this built.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great seeing the private and public sector work, in harmony to bring something so beautiful to the city of Colorado Springs. What economic impact do you expect the new UCCS Ent Center for the Arts to have on the local businesses in the University Shopping Village and the greater Colorado Springs Pikes Peak region? Let's go with that question. I'm going to ask my follow-up afterwards, but what economic impact do you expect?
So we don't have any data just yet because we just opened in January. But the arts and cultural segment is a multi-billion-dollar industry in the United States. It is something that we export way more than we import. It is one of America's greatest resources that we distribute throughout the entire world. Within Colorado Springs, the Ent Center for the Arts has enormous potential. Just in the spring semester alone, we had over 125,000 people come through our doors, and those are just the ticketed people that we know of. And there are many other tour groups and things of that nature. Across the street, we have the University Village, Colorado. There's a number of restaurants there. They've seen a huge uptick in sales. Of course, there's all of the tourism and economic impact in terms of the number of hotels that we bring in, economic tourism, cultural tourism to the region, and really working very closely with the EDC and the Chamber of Commerce and the Black Chamber and the Women's Chamber and the Hispanic Chamber to make sure that we're all working together. Arts and business go hand in hand. And in fact, right now is actually Arts Month. October is Arts Month, nationally and also here. And so the Cultural Office is really helping to celebrate that. We have over 300 events across the region that will celebrate that. And on October 5th, there will be the Arts and Business Lunch, which celebrates the unique and creative ways that the arts sector and business sector work together to build a better future for the city that they serve.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is awesome. Yeah, we're actually one of the guys on our team, Rio, is really big into art, and I love art myself as well. So, we're glad you're here. This is amazing. It's one of the most beautiful buildings I've ever seen. So, and I've lived a while. So, tell us about this space.
Yeah, so this is the Chapman Foundations Recital Hall. This is one of the most acoustically perfect spaces in Colorado and by extension the United States. So we worked with H3 Hardy Architects, which is based in New York City. They've done a number of the performing arts venues in New York, as either the renovations or building them outright. So this is a 242-seat recital hall. We were just next door in the Dusty Lou Vivant.
Yes.
There is 6 inches of space in the foundational concrete between this space and the space next door. And so that's so that we have complete sonic isolation between the two venues. So when we opened, we had Oklahoma next door, and they had, gunshots and people hooting and hollering. And in here we had a classical piano recital, and you could not tell. It was really amazing. So, yeah.
That is awesome.
We've had great fortune to have the gold winner of the International Chopin Piano Competition performed in here. We also had David Finkel and Wu Han, who run the Chamber Music Society at Lincoln Center in New York, come through and do a recital here. And they said that this is one of the finest spaces they've ever played in, and they'd like to come back and record.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, we would love to have we have a electronic dance music show, so we'd love to see
It might get loud in here.
Yeah, Nicole Mudaber come in here.
Yeah.
But that's amazing.
Yeah. And just last night we had a co-production between the New York Times, the Artist Series, and our Visual and Performing Arts military outreach called Homefront. So we had the chief war correspondent for the New York Times here, C.J. Chivers, with Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Dave Phillips, who grew up here in Colorado Springs, Max Schulman from our theater department, and Jen Birch, who's also a veteran of the wars, talk about the civilian-veteran divide. So we really are trying to be really comprehensive in the type of programming that we bring. Though we are based in the arts, we understand that the arts are just another lens to have really difficult conversations that we all need to be having.
Right, absolutely. That's definitely very, very true. It's an avenue, it's a conduit into many, many different things. So, wow. So let's take a look at the next area. This is impressive.
Yeah. You can actually hear people whispering in the very back, so I always have to remind my colleagues to keep it down. Can you hear me?
What is the center's relationship with the local art community, and where did the art you have on display come from?
Yeah, so we love to play with our local arts team partners. So we actually had a number of partner organizations who signed letters of support for us to say that, yes, the Ent Center was a necessary and vital part of the arts community and the landscape here as it exists. So that includes everybody from the Colorado Springs Philharmonic, the Ormayo Dance Company, the Children's Chorale, the Youth Symphony, all these different partners that really needed a space to make their own home as well. And then in terms of the visual art piece, we've actually been promoting significantly regionally based artists. And so our first year of curation for the Gallery of Contemporary Art, we have been focusing a lot on artists based here. Theatreworks has also just commissioned a piece by now a former faculty member, but was currently at Colorado College at the time, Idris Goodwin, to write a play that they will be presenting and premiering in January called American Prom, which is about two friends who live in a city where there's still racially segregated proms and how they sort of work through that. So we've been doing a lot of work with artists based here in town.
That would be very interesting to see. Thank God our society has progressed and become very integrated. So,
and yet there are people here on staff who remember racially segregated proms here, and went to racially segregated proms. So it's not that distant of history. In fact, it's more recent than I think any of us should feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm not that old. Maybe mom and dad remember that, but is it? I wanted to ask, is it true that you guys are going to be hosting the Pink Panther Diamond?
Oh, I can't tell you anything about that, but maybe we'll find out.
Just I had to throw in a little joke there. So, where can people go online to find out more about information about the UCCS Ent Center for the Arts? Upcoming events, purchase tickets, and perhaps make suggestions about productions or musical artists that they would like to see at the center?
So you can go to uccspresents.org, and that's where you can find out information about the Galleries of Contemporary Art, Theatreworks, the Artist Series. You can learn more about our rental program if you wanted to bring your own performances here. You can learn more about the Visual and Performing Arts Department at UCCS, and so it's really a comprehensive space. And you can also learn a lot more about the artists. We have a lot of features there, a lot of really great content that's built by some of our colleagues here on campus. So that's UCCSpresents.org. You can also always call our box office. They're open from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday at 719-255-3232.
That's awesome. And also, folks, you'll be able to, a lot of what's going on here, if you go to Super Dave Rain's Facebook page, we'll be carrying that information on all our socials when there are big things happening here at the Arts Center. So, well, thank you so much for coming on the program. Your name's so beautiful. I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to let you pronounce it one more time for us.
Sure. I'm Aisha Ahmad-Post, and thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to speak with you.
All right. Awesome. So you know who I am. I'm Super Dave Rains, and this has been a Big Show Entertainment Network special event from the University of Colorado Springs Ent Center for the Arts. So I'm Super Dave Rains, and until next time, on the love.